Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Ninjago video here on the channel. My name is TannerFishies. In today's video, we are back again with another episode of my Ninjago Hot Takes series. This is just the series of videos where I ask you guys, the audience, to submit your spicy and or controversial Ninjago opinions, and as usual, I have chosen a couple to discuss for today's video. Now, this time we focused specifically on Dragons Rising Season 2 Part 1, and sorry for the extreme delay. I know this post is a couple of weeks old at this point, and we had over 1,400 responses, quite a few. My goal for today's video is to discuss some of these hot takes. I will be showcasing usernames in today's video, so quick disclaimer, do not go out of your way to harass anyone whose name is featured. These are supposed to be controversial opinions after all. And I guess really quick before we get into some specific hot takes coming from specific people, I will touch on one situation that I saw a lot of conflicting opinions against, that of course being the whole Cole and Geo ship. A lot of people like that ship, a lot of people don't like that ship. Of course, some people don't like it because it's two dudes. It's 2024, guys. Might want to catch up to the modern era and where we are at as a society. But some people genuinely feel as though Cole and Geo have no chemistry. That's all fine and dandy. In the same breath, I saw a lot of people say that these two are awesome. I'm not sure which is the hot take because, like I said, I saw arguments for both sides. Not sure which one was the hot take, whether or not the ship is good or bad. So I figured I would talk about it really quick before we get into some specific hot takes. And so, moving on to some specific hot takes, let's talk about this one first. I actually think the screen time for Jay is perfect. There was no point trying to cram everything about his story into Season 1 and Season 2 Part 1, because it would have made things feel bloated. I love how they're dropping hints for stuff involving him in the future, while still keeping the focus on the main story. Also, the fact the ninja keep getting so close to meeting him again is very well executed and is building up hype for their eventual reunion. Yeah, so I 100% agree with this take. I know that a lot of people also like how they've been handling Jay. At the same time, there are many Ninjago fans who are just super anxious to see Jay back again, and it's definitely more so a slow burn. Ninjago Dragons Rising is taking its sweet time to bring Jay back to the team because we need some type of actual story arc for him, which is what they will be doing with the whole Evil Jay thing in Dragons Rising Season 2 Part 2. A lot of his appearances in Season 1 and Season 2 so far have been building up to this eventual reunion with the ninja, and when Jay eventually does join the team again, the reunion will feel all the more sweet. Also, not to mention, this does more or less line up with the consequences of the merge. It would be really weird if the ninja team got together immediately following this massive world-changing event. Jay will be joining the team eventually, we just have to be patient, and like I said, I do agree with this take in the sense that I like how they've been treating Jay's character so far. Cinder kind of disappointed me. He was pretty dang cool in episode 2, but he's barely in the part. I really hope part 2 gives us more of his backstory. Yes, so Cinder was definitely one of the more breakout characters from Dragons Rising Season 2. I've seen a lot of people praise Cinder. I myself think he makes for a super intriguing villain. With that in mind though, yeah, the one thing that he was lacking was backstory and a reason for being there. Why exactly is Cinder evil? I'm sure eventually Dragons Rising will answer that, maybe show us where he comes from, what his life was before we saw him during Season 2. However, with that being said, Cinder himself does still make for a pretty cool antagonist, despite his lack of reasoning so far. He was awesome in terms of Shatterspin, he was a very skilled fighter. I personally don't think Cinder was disappointing, but I do understand where this comment is coming from, and like I said, we probably will see more of his backstory later on in Season 2 Part 2, or at least at some point down the line. This one's kind of long, and we are definitely not going to be reading all of it, but I will be pointing out some specific highlights. Feel free to pause, though, if you would like to read all of it. The most all-over-the-place script. Out of nowhere, Bonzel is a spell used to defeat the Forbidden Five. How about the fact that Rontu's personality is so wacky and modern with cringy slang words? They did amazing with Egalt. I don't know why they would do the complete opposite for Rontu. And then there's Gandalaria. Don't get me started. Another ancient and mysterious figure turns out to be some hippie? Can we please have a cohesive plot and story with plot-appropriate characters? Also, the fact that Eren can do Spinjitzu doesn't sit right with me. It's a mockery of the original seasons and storylines. Last note, the fact that Rontu has lamplights on her horns absolutely infuriates me. Worst design ever. Thank you. No, thank you for your hot take. That was definitely quite a lot there. Now, obviously, this person, just like everyone else, is very much entitled to their own opinions, and these are certainly some spicy takes. There were quite a few of them here. I personally really enjoy everything that this person talked about. I don't mind Bonzel suddenly having relevance because she was kind of teased during season 1, and I'm glad that she actually has a role besides just being there, unlike some of the other finders. Also, yeah, I liked Rontu. I think her design with the lantern is totally fine. Also, Gandalaria. I know some folks are pretty mixed on her, so I'm not really sure if that's technically a hot take, but I liked Gandalaria overall. I thought her presence was enjoyable. Sometimes she's a little much, sure, but a lot of Ninjago characters have that problem. Overall, I enjoyed a lot of what this comment is talking about, but this is definitely a spicy take, or at least, you know, many spicy takes. I'm not sure if this is a hot take, but Egalt was so unbelievably insufferable. I feel like the show tries to play it off as him just being a tough, jaded mentor, but he's literally a jerk, I will say, because I can't say that word on YouTube. Yeah, so overall, I really enjoy Egalt, and I feel like a lot of people also did. Sure, he's kind of a jerk to the ninja at first, but you understand why. His backstory and his history very much explain why he is the way that he is, and why his personality is shaped like that. We learn that Egalt was betrayed long ago. He's also currently dying of wasting sickness, and he doesn't really trust the ninja, again, because of those bad experiences. So I understand why Egalt is a little more rough around the edges, so to speak. He's definitely not as friendly as Master Wu was. Sure, Wu could have been, you know, strict in his day, but Egalt is like strict Master Wu times a million. So I understand why some people might not like that character choice. I think it makes sense though, again, considering Egalt's history, but that's just me. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, of course. Hot take, I actually really hate how the villains were handled this season. I feel like they got access to Shatterspin too fast, and after the second episode, they don't have anything to do until the final episodes when the Blood Moon arrives. So yeah, I thought this comment was interesting. We definitely see a lot of praise for the villains for season 2, especially, again, Lord Ras and Cinder. We talked about that earlier. But again, the villains not really doing anything until the Blood Moon shows up. That's kind of true. I mean, the ninja do have a lot of focus until the finale where the villains finally come back into play, but I kind of agree with that statement that the villains hardly have anything to do until the Blood Moon rises. Hot take, giving Eren an element would not lessen his importance as Lloyd's student or his own original character. He still has his own version of Spinjitzu that he can master and working on object Spinjitzu too. In fact, adding an element to this could put him at the same level as Cole, who has a lot more going for him than just Spinjitzu and his element of Earth. Earth Punch, Spinjitzu Burst, and now the Earth Golem. Yeah, so I guess I never really thought about it like that, Eren being compared to Cole in the sense that they can have multiple things going on while still struggling, I suppose. And yeah, Eren's whole character in season 2 was more or less him complaining that he does not have an elemental power, trying to feel comfortable in his own skin, and he hardly utilizes object Spinjitzu, which was one of the only things that he had individual to his character for season 1. However, I still feel as though Eren getting an elemental power might not be the best thing for his character. I understand it, you know, in the sense that Cole can have multiple things going on, so can Eren. I totally understand that. I just feel like Eren needs to master what he has already, and maybe at some point down the line, maybe he could get a power. If he will get an elemental power, I hope it's at least towards the end of Dragon's Rising as a series. I feel like right now is way too early, but personally I would just kind of prefer it if Eren did not get a power at all, but I totally understand where this comment is coming from. Hot take, I feel like the overall hype of this season was sort of a letdown. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. The story elements and plot were amazing, but it just did not hit for me. I feel like they could have done so much more. Like, you've been hyping up the Forbidden Five since the start of the season, and right when one of them shows up, they immediately get dominated over by Lord Ras. That's just one of the many things that Ninjago could have done differently for this season. Yeah, so I thought this was interesting. I saw a couple of people comment this too, so if you also commented this, I guess, consider your take represented. But still, the Forbidden Five, they were kind of hyped up to be this overarching villainous force. And yeah, it is true that one of them shows up and immediately gets dominated by Lord Ras. At the same time, I feel like that does a lot for Lord Ras as a villain, who is the main villain of Dragon's Rising, at least so far. Because you hear a lot about these ancient elemental masters, these super evil beings that were so powerful that they needed to be banished to this otherworldly dimension. And then one of them shows up and immediately gets overpowered by the current villain. It kind of shows just how powerful Lord Ras is and how scary the guy can be. Sure, Noct isn't really doing much now, but you never know. The Forbidden Five might actually be a pretty major presence during Season 2 Part 2, and they most likely will. So I feel like for all of the Forbidden Five fans out there, don't worry, their time will come eventually, but Season 2 Part 1 was definitely more so setup for the Forbidden Five than payoff. Jordana is a really strong character both personality-wise and power-wise. She's just someone trying to find her place in the world and trying to prove herself. Her magic abilities are able to counter Gandelaria's abilities as well. Yeah, Jordana being a strong character is definitely a spicy take, I would say, because especially in my comment section, I've been seeing a lot of hate towards Jordana. I totally understand why some people would not like her. I personally do like Jordana. I think she has a lot of potential, and yeah, with her learning magic, that was definitely needed for her character, because unlike Sora, she does not have an elemental power. She needs to find her own place in the world, and learning magic as her primary ability, yeah, I thought that was a really good choice, and I feel like it'll only do wonders for her character later on as well. So as much as people might not like Jordana, I personally do, and it's good to see that there are some fellow Jordana fans out there. Hot take, Lloyd and Kai's relationship has been deteriorating for the sake of giving other characters moments since Dragon's Rising Season 1. So yeah, not necessarily a Season 2 hot take per se, more so for Dragon's Rising overall. And honestly, I'm not really sure if I can see where this comment is coming from. Again, opinions will be had, but I'm not really seeing, I guess, how Kai and Lloyd's relationship has been deteriorating. The two of them are still very good friends, and even though they are more independent now, that kind of makes sense because they're older, you know? Way back in the day, the ninja would rely on each other more, but especially with Dragon's Rising, with them already being separated, they've been kind of forced to adapt to their own environments and become their own people even more. And finally, just for the very end of this video, I decided to include this one because I thought it was funny. They should make Ninjago Movie 2 instead of Dragon's Rising Season 3. As much as I would love a Ninjago Movie 2, I feel like I would want Dragon's Rising to continue more. But what do you guys think? Which would you prefer? And with that being said, guys, that'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here. Thank you very much for tuning in to this round of Ninjago Hot Takes, and thank you to everyone who submitted a hot take for this video. Obviously, we were not able to go through everybody's because there were too many to count, but no need to worry. We will definitely be doing more hot takes videos in the future, so save your hot takes for next time. Maybe yours will be chosen in the next video. So thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here. Leave all of your thoughts and comments down below. Which take did you find to be the spiciest or most controversial? Which ones do you agree with or disagree with? Let me know down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed this one, feel free to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys again very, very soon. Peace.